Everybody, welcome back. My name is Yumble, and today I'm here to talk to you about intersections and city skylines. More specifically, how to make realistic intersections in city skylines. You'll see in this shot, there's a bunch of different road types being used. A lot of roads with turn lanes, a lot of dedicated left turns, dedicated right turns, lighted intersections, intersections with continuous medians. I'd like to discuss how to get this realistic intersection effect in your city and city skylines. Right off the bat, I'd like to let you know what types of assets I'm going to be using to achieve this effect. You don't need to use the exact asset pack that I'm using, but you're going to need some sort of asymmetrical road to make this work, really, because that's what's going on. It's called an asymmetrical road. You'll notice that the 3-lane road over here has a 4-lane road across from it, and that's where that extra turning lane is actually coming from. But I'm using Hockenheim 95's roads from the Steam Workshop. These are called big urban roads. Big urban roads, that's what they are. They're big, they're urban, they're very American. This image right here is Americana, straight up. We've got a condo building on the left side, we've got a business at the bottom, we've got a gas station on the right, and a Walgreens and a whole bunch of a shopping center across the way. This is a very American intersection, and these are some very American roads. So I'd recommend finding a road pack that works for you, but it must include asymmetrical roads. Here's another prime example of a major intersection in my current build that I'm doing over on Twitch, my current city that I've been working on. This is a major intersection. Traffic is coming in from the highway. If you look at the cursor up in the top left, that's our highway interchange. Traffic is coming in, and I've got asymmetrical roads on every single side here. Let me show you. This is a 3x4 or 4x3, depending on. I'm not sure if the order matters, but it's a 3x4 for our purposes. A 3x4, a 3x4. On this side, I opted for a 3x5 because I realized we had a heavy amount of traffic turning left. Like, we had a lot of traffic that wanted to turn left, so your typical individual turn lane was not enough. I found that the individual turn lane was just backing up, and eventually it would fill the entire thing. So I was like, okay, we'll allow 2 segments of road to be this 3x5 asymmetrical road, and we'll do 2 turn lanes so that they have options on the other side. The way that you can control the turn lanes is with Traffic Manager, of course. I've got a video about Traffic Manager and how this works, but essentially I would typically recommend individual turning lanes, meaning protected left turns, so that there isn't straight through traffic waiting in a left turn lane. That's the best way to do it generally. And also, I recommend using the lane arrow tool rather than the lane connector tool. Some people, I've observed this time and time again, there's an abuse of the lane connector tool where they'll do an entire intersection with lane connectors, and you might be forcing traffic to go places that it doesn't want to go, or you might be forcing them to take some long extraneous route to avoid all the craziness that you're putting the traffic through. So lane arrows are generally the way to go. In most countries, I believe it's fine to, if you're turning left here, the innermost lane has to turn into their innermost lane, but the outermost left turn will have options. They can turn into either of these 2 lanes. And that's how it works in the game too. As I said, so to reiterate, laws would say that the innermost, you're probably going to have to turn to the innermost lane on the other side, but that second lane has options, because you'll see up ahead they're going to have options that maybe they want to turn to be in the right lane on the interchange, or maybe they want to turn to get onto the highway. It's whatever they need. So I would try your best to avoid using lane connectors in intersections. I think it's a really bad habit and should be avoided, frankly. One other thing to point out in this particular intersection, I opted to have these are not, so to go against what I said a minute ago, there are no dedicated straight through lanes, and that's because in this situation, there's nothing over here, right? This area is developing. There's some trees in the road if you want to go see that's kind of unique, so maybe they want to go see that, but typically, they're not going to want to go see the tree road. Ignore the tree road. Forget I showed you the tree road, in fact. This is just, it's not necessary to have dedicated turn lanes on this side. I just wanted to have full options because I didn't want to railroad, that's a good term, forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do is railroading them. I don't want to take this right lane and if they don't change at one of these nodes, I don't want to force them to change at the end. I want them to have a few options. I want them to be able to go wherever they want within 1 to 2 lane changes without having to go all the way to the left to figure it out. The game is very strict with how it handles nodes and where cars can change lanes, so keep that in mind when you're designing your intersections. The particular pack of roads that I'm showing you right now, the big urban roads, are actually a continuous median road, or rather the road I'm using is the continuous median version, so I'd like to show you how to kind of initiate a big intersection like I've been showing you. I'd recommend starting with the 3+3 road. That's what I'm using right here. You can see the big roads in big American flag letters. What could be more American? I put my hand over my heart as I make these huge, giant roads. Oh goodness, the continuous median has kicked in. This is expected. This is normal behavior. You can see there's a lot of clipping and Z-fighting, and it's non-functional. It appears non-functional in its current state. Cars will actually drive over this no matter what you do. So what I'd recommend doing is what you're supposed to. Go to your timed traffic lights in Traffic Manager President Edition. If you don't have Traffic Manager, I would get Traffic Manager. You're going to need it for all the stuff that I'm mentioning. If you didn't get that before from the lane arrows and the lane connectors discussion, get Traffic Manager now. If you click on the timed traffic light and control-click the intersection, it will fix your textures, and it will also add a timed traffic light, which is good. Like, that's a default timed traffic light. I've got a video about that on this channel as well if you want more information about setting up timed traffic lights. But what we've really done here is set up a lot of potential. Let's say one day we want to add another road that comes off of this. I do have other big urban roads, you know, let's say it goes down to some sort of asymmetrical road on the other side, something smaller. This is a road from the same pack. It's a smaller road, and maybe it's going down to the beachfront. I think someday we're probably going to build on this beachfront. Once the city gets large enough, I'll branch out a bit. But here we are. I've left us room to expand, is the beauty of this whole situation, right? So the lane arrows are added, the traffic light is added. Eventually, what I foresee happening, first of all, the lane arrows are wrong, but what I see happening eventually is that this is going to need to get changed up a bit to make sense. And we're not going to have enough on this side. We're not going to have enough lanes. So maybe after building for a little bit and building down here, maybe it turns into something different. Maybe it turns into a 3x4, or a 4+3 rather. The 4+3 grass median would be the obvious upgrade option here. And that's great. Now we've got 4 lanes, and maybe all of these other roads turned into 4+3. And because this is a smaller road that just goes down to the beach, it's not as major as this huge urban high-rise area. This is more like beach condos and things, so maybe there's not as much traffic. So we'll keep this at the 3+2. And then eventually, over time, maybe this will run its course, and you'll go, oh no, we need a bigger and better option. Now we break out the 5+3, because we say this interchange is going to be, it's also an overpass. So as this area, as the tree road, once the tree road that we spoke about before, don't talk about the tree road. Don't look at it, actually. Once that is all expanded out and there's some stuff up here, they're going to be coming across on this interchange. Traffic is going to expand. So maybe we end up with a 5+3 here. You don't have to go right to a 5+3 because that's pretty aggressive. Like, look at that. There's a lot going on there, especially for 2 roads that go to nowhere currently. The roads that do nothing and go to nowhere. I'm just showing you the potential that you can expand your horizons. You can expand your roads as you go. And as you do this, don't forget to reset your traffic light and potentially reset your turn lanes, because everything will get messed up. So you can delete a timed traffic light by removing it, and then control-click the same one to reset it to another default timed traffic light. I've got a video about that. If you're curious about counters and how they work, I'd recommend checking that out. But that's how a lighted, large, realistic intersection looks, in an American city at least. Let me show you some more stuff you can do. Now, eventually, while using this pack, you're going to find yourself in a position where you want to use a smaller road to connect to your large 6-lane road, right? So this is a logical situation. And this is going to give you a bunch of options when you go to do this. Let's just pick a spot here. I'm just going to build a 12-unit long small road. And like I said before, the continuous median will continue. And that's fine, but in its current state, it doesn't look like it will allow left-turning traffic to enter. It can allow right-turning traffic, no problem. Obviously, it'll accommodate that, but we want to add a turn lane here to let that left-turn traffic through in this instance. So let's go back to our 4+3 solid road. I'm going to use the grass version because that's the type of road that I'm using here. And the great thing about the continuous median roads is that they know exactly what you want to do in this case. So we've got a left turn only right here. It's not actually set up is the thing. I'll show you the lane arrows set up in just a moment. It's not set up exactly how I'd want, at least. But this would give the priority road, obviously this big 6-lane road is what I would call the priority road, and this is a smaller road. Maybe it's a collector road, maybe it's... I don't know where this road is going to go yet, or if I'm going to use it, or if I'm even going to keep it, because apparently I'm going to delete it. Okay. So we've got our road. Oh, we're back. There it is. So we've got our road. It's a turn lane. Maybe there's a road across the way. Let me just show you the context of this continuous median and why it might work for you, or why it might not work for you, or what have you. Once again, pro tip, hold down the delete button if you don't want to accidentally delete your roads while deleting trees. So that's fine. So in this context, what we're looking at is a junction where we don't want the road to drive, where we don't want this road to cross, because the median is continuous. The fact that you are using a continuous median road implies that you don't want the traffic to cross the median. And there's a lot of reasons that you might want to do this. I haven't even explained it yet, but let's say we don't want traffic to make this left because this road is too hardcore for just a left-hand turn. We can circumvent this by adding a light, just like we did in the previous example. That opens up the junction to all kinds of turn options. But in this situation, we want to treat this road as priority. So I'm also going to make this road into that 4+3, or that 3+4, no, 4+3 solid grass median road. Also be careful when using median roads, if it's facing the wrong way, it doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. What you're looking at here, there's no reason for cars to merge here and then merge again. Doesn't make sense. So watch the direction of the road, because the asymmetrical roads, just like one-way roads, the direction that you build the road or the direction that you turn the road actually matters. In City Skylines, the game tries to be smart and figure out what you want traffic to do at the junction before you've actually done it. In this case, when we've added a median, like I said, this implies that we do not want traffic to drive straight across. If you do want that in the junction, you can either add a light or use a totally different road. Either way is fine with me. But if you want to do what I've done here, which is similar to what we've done for our mall entrance, we've got a Target mall entrance there. If you want this to function correctly, you've actually got to go into Traffic Manager and set it up properly. Right now, vehicles coming from this, whatever gets built down here and connects here, they're going to think they can go straight across. We don't want that. They're going to think they can go left. We also don't want that. So this becomes a right turn only, and this road pack is exceptional with its markings. A lot of them are, actually. A lot of the road packs look amazing, but this particular Big Urban Roads, it's not a commercial for Big Urban Roads so much as a commercial for the concepts that I'm giving you, I swear. I'm not affiliated with Hockenheim. I haven't spoken to him. I hope he's a fan of how I'm using his roads, but I have not talked to him about this. But the decals are exceptional, where it really tells you what's going on, and you can really see what's happening. Don't forget to do the same thing on this side, because this should be right turn only. On these roads, sometimes you have to tell it what to do, sometimes you don't. In this case, it worked out nicely. It is what I would want, but I might recommend also doing a straight on the right side, so that cars can just drive here and not make the right-hand turn. I want to allow them to use this lane. If that's what they want to do and they're making a turn up ahead, I don't want to force them into the second lane. So I'll allow this one to be a shared turn. So a straight and a right turn. Maybe I'll do the same thing on the other side. I don't see why not. I'm a fan of this exact configuration. Of course, this should be a dedicated left turn because there is no straight through. There's no, with the median there, visually it's implied that all the cars are going to go left here, as necessary. One other quirk with this type of road pack is that the texture, normally, let's take a normal road here. This is very important. I should have mentioned this even earlier. So if you're still listening, thank you. You've done yourself a great favor by paying attention. Let's say we're using our 4-lane road with decorative grass, or let's do the one with trees. I like the trees. They're very nice. except for the fact that they're vanilla, so they look like... Well, never mind. This is... So let's transition from this network to a 4-lane road with median. Well, that wasn't a very good example. Let's do this road with median. There we go. So typically when you go from one network to a different type of network, if the network is different enough from the other one, it forces a crosswalk. The crosswalk is a texture. The functionality of the crosswalk, meaning that pedestrians can path across it, is not part of the texture. That's built in independently. So what I'd like to do, this is just the example of what normally happens. You cannot see it, but this is technically a crosswalk. So what I recommend doing is turning off the crossing using Traffic Manager, using your junction restrictions. Otherwise, what you'll see, no one's going to do it right now because there's no real reason to. We're going to hail a cab, but we're not going to cross the road, apparently. People will cross here unprompted and unnecessarily, so make sure to turn off your crossings if you don't want jaywalkers to just occupy this space, because you cannot see it due to the nature of the continuous median texture, but there is a crossing there. I promise. Another funny quirk with this whole thing, I wish this would happen automatically, but it doesn't. You can use junction restrictions to allow traffic to occupy the junction. The game reads this as an intersection, even though visually you can see that the traffic just goes straight through, no problem. To make it act that way, this button is the, allow... I don't have a good name for this button. Feel free to tell me in the comments what the actual name is, but I call it the allow the car into a blocked junction button. Or the come on in button. Let's call it the come on in button. So over here, allow car into the blocked junction button. Just so we don't have, like, let's say this intersection becomes a little backed up with traffic waiting to turn left because they have to yield. That's fine. They're yielding. They're being safe. If you do not hit that button, that enter the blocked junction button that's now green, if you don't hit that, traffic will wait here once this is filled up. So once we've got 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars, maybe a couple trucks waiting here, traffic will stop here and block the entire thing. They won't use this little extra bit. And of course, while we're talking about the extra bit there, you can use Node Controller to control any of this as well. If you want to control the, anything to do with these junctions, Node Controller is exceptional. Check out my last video for information about that. But feel free to control the nodes to your heart's desire. If the transition isn't smooth enough for you, you can always alter that. There's one more major thing that we need to discuss. I need to address this with you. We need to talk about it. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about it. Traffic is funny in Skylines, especially delivery trucks. This target has a perfectly good loading dock, but you'll observe this truck is making a delivery at the front, as is this van. That's just how it works. I'm about to explain a way to mitigate this effect, but I don't have a solution yet. I would pay untold riches to the asset creator that can solve this problem. This is a beautiful asset by King Leno. King Leno makes virtually everything. This video is almost a commercial for King Leno as well. King Leno makes this amazing stuff. He included loading docks, which are phenomenal, completely non-functional because of the nature of how assets work in Skylines. I would give untold riches to the asset creator who creates a pack of commercial buildings with functional loading docks. I have a vague idea of how this might be achieved. Feel free to message me if you want to talk about it. But for now, I want to talk about deliveries coming to the front of buildings and how you can kind of fix that with roads. You'll notice it happens over here on this stretch. Maybe we're not going to see an example of it just now, but all the deliveries and, well, that's not really a delivery exactly, but all of the activity happens at the front of the building, even if it's a major delivery truck. I'd like to highlight this section over here. This is a commercial building for our purposes. This is like an older asset from the Skylines workshop, but I love it because it has this 135-degree front on it, which is just great. You can make great angles out of it, and it makes for some creative road patterns if you want to break free from the grid. But if we stick around long enough, we should see a truck show up here. I'm going to fast forward to ensure that my dreams come true. We should see a truck show up, and I was running into this issue where the truck would come in, and it would turn around, so check this out. The truck is here. You'll see now it's going to do this crazy thing, but at least it's staying on the same side of the road. I found that this intersection was getting backed up because the truck would make its delivery and then immediately turn around and go out this way. And this is a popular exit for the traffic back in here, like from this parking garage or from the other buildings, the residential. A lot of the vehicles leave from the parking garage and go out this way. So what I was seeing is that the truck was turning around, blocking traffic, making a mess of everything. My God. Making a mess of the whole thing. So what I did is from that same pack that I've been talking to you about, from the same pack, Hockenheim's big urban roads pack, I went from the standard 2-lane road to a 2-lane median road, which is part of the pack as well. And that, it's not a continuous median road, so you're not going to see the median go through an intersection. Nothing like that. That would be a bit too much. All right, I'll fix that later. That would be a bit too much. This is just to avoid vehicles turning around and abusing the road to get in the way of vehicles that were already there. Or what's even worse is sometimes trucks would like to come in. Trucks would maybe come in from this side, come around, and make a delivery by crossing traffic to get there. So using a median can mitigate that as well, and it'll help fix issues at intersections because you're forcing traffic to do what you want it to do. Like here, you can see this truck is making a delivery. At least it's not coming in from this direction and turning left and making the delivery like that. It's going to do a crazy 180 in a second. I don't have a way to fix that either at this time, but controlling traffic as much as possible is really the name of the game in Skylines. And if you've got trucks making a left turn across lanes of traffic to deliver your Panera bread, there's something wrong. And I think it's worth addressing, and one good way to do that is with a median, be it continuous or otherwise. We don't want trucks driving all the way across to make deliveries, nothing like that. You know, in the interest of realism, in the interest of making your city look as nice as possible and function as well as possible. I think intersections are one of the most important parts of the game, and you should really focus on them and take some time and not just... I think when I started the game, I was a really big fan of making these huge grids and just connecting a bunch of roads and not really paying attention to how they connected or what direction traffic is going or anything like that, because you don't have to at first. But as you become an intermediate or an expert player at the game, you may find that it's beneficial to really control your intersections and pay attention to each of them, especially the major ones, and just kind of, see how you can grow as a player in that way. Guys, thanks for paying attention. Thanks for listening. Thanks for staying to the end. I've been Yumble. I make YouTube videos about Skylines. I stream on Twitch at least 2 to 3 days a week nowadays. This is the city that I'm working on currently on Twitch. I just figured I'd give you some insight into how I like to build intersections and give an explanation. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have questions, or feel free to join the Discord if you want to ask me directly. Okay. That's the sound it makes when someone follows. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but someone just followed on Twitch. Thank you for listening, whoever's out there in Twitch land. But I appreciate you being here, you viewer, you listener. Just let me know if you have questions, and let me know if you have input about this. Maybe you see it differently from me. Maybe you say that median roads should not be used, or maybe you have a different application. I'd love to have that discussion, tastefully in the comments if you'd like. That is it. That's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching. I've been Yumble TV. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.